Yes, chap people, this is Michael Shamaya representing. I will say, Haile Lion voice, saying it is time for the lions and the lionesses to tell their own story. King David killed Goliath with a stone, we original dread.
The fittest of the fittest shall survive. But people, open your eyes. Wake up. Blessed love, this is Queen Omega representing for all lions and lionesses. With the lion's voice, we come to tell our story. Ras Tafari live it. Hey, the lion's voice. Ras Tafari.
The time has come for lions to tell our own story. Yes, you're listening to Lion's Voice. I is Ras Abuna hailing from the island of St. Croix. Yeah, I'm bringing to Ras Tafari vibes. Can you feel it? Rastafari. Babylon born when Rasta come together. Can you feel it? Rastafari. Because Babylon done when I and I come together. Look how we live together, look how we work together, Oh, Babylon done when Rasta come together. Yeah, Rastafari, His Majesty and Empress men in bless. Yeah man, hailing from St. Croix, Rastafari here.
Aye.
Greetings, I'm Sister Aisha Diana Conwood, currently the Assistant Commissioner of Agriculture for the U.S. Virgin Islands. Time for the lioness to roar. You know, this is the lion's voice. Lioness, let's roar, lion pour. Ah!
Well, lion voice, tell them that's the people first choice. Lion voice, make the lioness them feel nice. Lion voice, with the lion cubs we sacrifice. Lion voice, got to show the people them the life. Lion voice. Them could never conquer the mountains. Thousands of years and counting. Ethiopia rise again unto the world. Now we are announcing. Them a plan for war, we a plan for peace. And now we see them wanna go dismantle the base. When the trumpet sound and the violence cease, how we say one go build up the cities. Well, them a plan for war, we a plan for peace. And now we see them wanna go dismantle the base. Rastafari crown as the Prince of Peace. Him tell the youths them fi build up them countries. Well, solar energy that them a see. The whole city powered by the sun's energy. The road them make out of hemp and concrete. Neighborhoods full of fruit trees that taste sweet. The youths put down them guns, them harvest and a reap. The beautiful gardens will line every street. Tired of the bloodshed, them done with the beef. Not even animals for them burn out the meat. Where people say Haile Selassie I see Nile. When they see say him a treat the dirt like a child. Peace on earth from the banks of.
The year is 1892, and the land of Ethiopia has been experiencing 4 years of terrible famine and drought. They call it the Kikuken, or the evil days. At least 1/3 of the human population and 90% of the cattle have died. The hyenas have feasted on so many carcasses that they have become overweight and barely able to move. Just when the people could take no more of the evil days, a woman named Wasiro Yeshimabet is giving birth in a place called Ergersa Gora. This is her 9th attempt to bring forth new life. Her previous 8 attempts only resulted in death. Will this child live? Thankfully, a healthy baby boy is born. His first cries are drowned by thunder and lightning flashes across the night sky. The heavens open up and torrential rain starts to fall. Ethiopia's drought is over, and the baby boy is given the name Tafari, meaning one to be feared or respected. Lich Tafari's father, Ras Makunin, is a very important man in 1892 Ethiopia. Although he is overjoyed at the birth of his newborn son, he cannot spend much time with him. Ras McCunnan is the governor of Harar and must get back to the famous walled city to deal with its affairs. Furthermore, he is the foreign minister of Ethiopia, and having traveled to different places in Europe, he is very aware of the material and military advances they have made and the looming threats they pose to his country. Ras McCunnan knows that the majority of Ethiopians have no idea what is coming, and that he has to work that much harder to secure the realm. Ras Tafari would grow up to become the legendary Emperor Haile Selassie I. To understand his journey, we must first understand the Ethiopia that he was inheriting and what it was like when he was born in 1892. Get your copy of Kwesi Bansu's book, Haile Selassie I, Ethiopia, Volume 1, The Rise of the Priestly Warrior Kings, and increase your knowledge about the history, politics, and culture of Ethiopia in 1892, and how it connects to the rest of African and world history at the time. Haile Selassie I, Ethiopia, Volume 1 is available for purchase at www.bookmanexpress.pub. Please visit for more information.
Come be a part of history and experience the sharing of wisdom from some of the most brilliant thought leaders in our community. Come see Muda Baruka, Styles P, Nori Muhammad, Lawrence Haja, Dr. Dorothy Holly, Dejaz Mach Kwasi, Deborah Hines, and Midwife Asasia impart their wisdom at Groundless with My Brothers and Sisters, a holistic health conference. A plant-based breakfast and lunch are included. Looking forward to seeing you there.
Greetings in that divine name of His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie I. Glory and honor in the name of his chosen queen, Empress Waziri Menen. My name is Kwesi Bansu, aka the Chasmach Kwasi, aka Ras Kwasi, aka the Reading Ras, aka the Pan-African Happy Man. I'm a creative industry attorney. I'm an author. I'm an artist. I'm an actionist. And right now, I am the host of Lion Talk Live. Welcome to Lion Talk Live, and welcome to the Lion Voice Network, where the lions are telling our own story. Family, tonight we have one of those episodes. We're going way up, way up. You know, I recall when I first came in the movement, and I learned about the crowning of His Imperial Majesty on the throne, King David. These things we were reading about or heard about, written in the prophecy in the Bible and all these things, and then we look and we see that Africa is holding this tradition, this unconquered nation. It almost seemed too good to be true, and it was one of the things that defined, you know, my early treadings, my early research. When you go into the National Geographic magazine and you see the coronation picture, one of the first color pictures taken in aeration, you know, so much around. We're going to touch all of these things. My guest tonight is a brethren we're well studied, you know what I mean, long time chatting, well known to the family, you know, in terms of the knowledge. He was also a part of a play where they reenacted the coronation pillar in the South Florida Rastafari community. So we are going to go there tonight, family. Get your ital snacks, get yourself IPR. Before we bring forward the guests, let me just say welcome to everyone. If this is your first time on the platform, welcome to Rastafari Independent Non-Aligned Media. Welcome to the Lion Pride. And if you subscribe, you're part of the Lion Pride. We are over 11,000 strong now, family. We've grown from a small mustard seed and we keep on growing. It's now a global movement. I'm seeing the comments, you know what I mean? Lion Pride checking in from all over creation. I still haven't seen Libya. I'm seeing Libya in the analytics. I'm still waiting on my Libya family for tuning in the comments, make we feel that love. But this is a global phenomenon right now. If you have not seen the reasoning we have with Muta Baruka that we dropped as the 10,000 I Liberation episode, please, I'm saying go and watch it. You saw that intro there. We were showing the grounding with our brothers and sisters conference. That conference has already happened. We did our recap. That episode is there. You can go and watch it. The reasoning with the convener of the conference is there. You can watch it. We are dropping our interview with the young rising reggae star Yaksta, who has the youths them in Jamaica returning to a kind of positive frequency. We see the brethren beard up, so give him a check, and the interview is on. You can watch the clips. Full interview will be up shortly. So we are building out the ecosystem, and we couldn't do it without the Lion Pride on Patreon. And the Lion Pride on Patreon, they are the economic engine. We have family so far as 20 ones from around the world that are giving a monthly contribution, $5, $10, whatever they can afford, to see that Rastafari independent media being part of the solution, being like-minded. You know what I mean? We're putting our money where our mouth is, our action. We say we want better, so we are going to build better. And I give thanks for everyone who is contributing, whatever small monetary gifts that you can, because again, we want to take this a lot wider. We want to have Rastafari films, Rastafari animation, Rastafari stories being told, Rastafari news program. You know what I mean? There's so much that Rastafari has contributed, and we are an important part of the Pan-African ecosystem globally. So we need to have our own voice out there. We are focusing on the niche. We're a Pan-African platform. We're going to talk to people who are not Rastafari. We're not saying we're just only talking to ourselves. However, you know what I mean, we have a Rastafari worldview, and that is really what we are building here in front of the whole world. And we're being very honest. When we fail, I come and I tell the item, we set a goal and we fail. When we have a victory, we hit 10,000 subscribers before January 1st, we celebrate. You see, we bless the platform with Muta Baruka. His Majesty bless us to be able to bring forth that. So we are here building in front of the family, for the family. And I told the item that crowdfunding, collective security is the way forward. Why? Because if you deal with sponsorship, when that sponsor check don't clear, or you say something that the sponsor don't want to hear, then your whole operation pop down. If the audience is the funder, then you're accountable to your audience. So this is why, family, I'm coming to the item to say, join I and I willing to put in the work, and I give thanks. I see Gain at me in the chat, Lion Pride on Patreon, I check in. These are the family. So just know that when you see I am not alone. You know what I mean? I have brethren and sisters that join arm in arm with I, who are chat with I. And we still have to big up the watch and peep, Lion Pride, the watchers, the ones that just watching and they just keep watching. We give thanks for the item same way, because, you know what I mean, it keep the algorithm flowing, and we give thanks for the peepers, because them a peep for come safe we pop down, but we're still here, and we give thanks because when them chat with name, they're spreading that's free marketing and promotion. So everyone in the ecosystem have their role, and just like nature, we just keep everything in balance. So we give thanks, but we're here, we're feeling good. We're going to end the year strong. I have some major reasonings planned for the platform. Some giants, the trod. in terms of the history. We're going to be bringing them forward on the platform. So if you're not subscribed, subscribe. This is where the uprising is being televised. This is the Rastafari resistance. You know what I mean? This is where we are breaking down the barriers. You know, this is not a Jamaica platform. This is not, you know what I mean, Saint Cry or just, this is a Pan-African. You see Rastafari from around the world. You see black people from around the world doing positive, contributing to this mighty uprising. And I really do give thanks. When you see I sip my water, this is Ramia King Design. This is my brethren Ras Lidge company. You saw the commercial and all of the video them. Support the brethren. These tumblers, they keep your drink cold or hot. So Rastafari business supporting Rastafari platform. Big up CMAS Life and next Rastafari business. Ras Woolley Full Pots, the best CMAS drink when it ever taste in a life. Big up yourself. This is the ecosystem that we are building, family, that is Rastafari powered. So, you know what I mean? We're unapologetic when it comes on to Rastafari. And tonight is going to be one of those unapologetic nights. Beer, majesty, crowning, coronation, details. And I'm going to have some more coronation content that we're going to be bringing some other ones. So just prepare yourself for the crowning, the glory. We're in the glory part, I know. All right. So housekeeping out of the way. Let me welcome forward for all of the Lion Pride out of South Florida, Rastafari community. The brethren is born in Jamaica, Jamaican roots, but African in exile, same way. Powerful Far I one, and it really is a pleasure to introduce to the Lion Pride family Ras Abuna. Welcome to the Lion Talk Live.
Give thanks, the Jazz Match Kwasi. Give thanks. It is indeed a great honor, and the pleasure is definitely mine. As the scriptures say, His Majesty gave the word, great is the company of those that publish it. I want to commend you on the great work that the I has undertaken and what the I is fulfilling. In this Iowa, we need platforms like these. We need works like these, and the I is doing a marvelous work. And I'm just encouraging ones watching and within the scope of our hearing to continue to support and contribute to the program, because we definitely need platforms like these that can link us across very huge boundaries, from Florida to Washington, from Florida to New York, across the continent to Africa, to Jamaica. I mean,
yes,
it's needed, you know? It's needed. Networking, communication.
Haile,
Yes.
Haile.
And with that said, the Jazz Match, I just want to start by uttering a prayer in Amharic as we begin.
Yes, I
give thanks for all our brethren and sisters, and for your families. As we come before His Majesty, we ask Him to cut and clear our way as we proceed. So let I and I pray in the ancient Amharic tongue. Abata cheno beseme yemetino resimi kedes mengistin ta pecado beseme in the honech in the hu bemidir kihun yelet injarachinen zari siten bedelachinem yakrebelen ina yabedelenin yakaren demenela bitu wede fetina taga ban kikifu wede ninji mengisti antinatina hele miskana les lalamu exhibier germawi nigus nagestat kada mawi Haile Selassie, our strength, our redeemer. We give thanks and praises to the I name and to the I only Sila. Give thanks, the Jazz Match.
Rastafari. All right.
Yeah,
so
I am.
This is Ayabingi. You know, this is we are going to bubble the sip, we now rush the sip. We'll put it on the pot. We're going to simmer it down, and then we're going to we're going to bring it to a boil and spice it the right way. So before we go into the coronation, I want I step into the Lion Talk Live time machine and take us to the I birth, where the I was born. Who is Ras Abuna? You know, what was the I journey to Rastafari?
Well, I was born in Jamaica. I'm a 60s baby, and grew up in a place called Greenwich Town till my family migrated to the US. That was the longest summer vacation I had. It took 10 years before I saw my parents again. So
Wow.
I was 12 at the time. So I can't begin to tell you the fun I had. There was no anyone to really rule, but we still had family members that kept us. But it was such a free time. Then I went to high school in St. Elizabeth Technical High School.
Okay.
And after graduation, I migrated to the US. I arrived in the United States approximately 3 days before the transition of the great Bob Marley. I came on the Friday and Bob transitioned on the Monday.
Wow.
I cannot forget that. And that same year, I came in May, and in that same year, 5 months after I came, I joined the Army, the US Army.
Okay.
And I spent 10 years there.
Wow. So was there Rastafari at this time? Or this was before I tried Rastafari?
Before. Ballad.
Okay.
Ballad. Don't know nothing. Youth. Yes. I'm walking in New York one day and I see a sign, be all you can be. All that was left was for my name to be on it. That sign appealed to me so much.
Okay.
And I went in and I took my brother with me, my younger brother. So as soon as we walked in there, the recruiters pitted us against each other by asking who was brighter. And then my brother wanted to prove. I wasn't trying to prove anything. I just wanted to see what they had to offer.
Yeah.
So I went, I joined, and I spent 10 years. After 10 years, that was enough. My brother stayed. He continued and retired after 20 years. I came in the streets after ETS, after approximately 10 years, just a little bit over 10 years.
Okay, so
I came
when
to
you
New York.
came out of the Army, did you see any active duty while in the armed services?
Yes, my total 10 years was active duty, but not combat.
Okay, not combat. Yes.
Yes.
Were you deployed
I had
anywhere?
many overseas tour.
Okay, what countries? Give us some countries. Where did you deploy to?
Oh, well, I was stationed in Germany for 18 months.
Okay.
Stationed in Korea for 2 years.
Okay.
Visited England, visited France,
okay.
Japan. And after the army, now I visit Portugal, Haiti, Alaska, all over the place.
Wow.
Approximately 15 countries. And I lived 14 months. The greatest part, though, I lived 14 months in Gambia.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
During the COVID-19, that's the most exciting 14 months of my entire life.
Wow.
Yes.
So
14 months
I'm painting a picture. I'm painting a picture, Ras Abuna, because when you start going at the heights, I want people to know the I who is communicating. I don't want we just drop it upon them. The pot's still a boil, you know. We put it upon the fire. And now you understand where we go? So what was your first knowledge of Haile Selassie and Rastafari, you know, coming out of that military framework?
Well, one thing about me was my uniform. I took pride, especially the dress uniform. I always tell my peers, and I challenge my peers in my unit and just those a little above my rank, that anyone that stood before me never to inspect me on an inspection day, they never stay more than a minute. They looked and they moved quick, because my medals it was good. It was, you know, it was impressive, and my rank didn't reflect what the medals that I wore, because I went to school. I did two you call these leadership schools before I even got to the rank of leadership, and I was a distinguished honor grad at one of those schools. So I got ribbons, and then for my overseas. So every time like a lieutenant or a captain came before me to inspect me, they didn't stay long, because my chest, in comparison to theirs, was
So
anyway, when I got
you know
out,
all of those. When you see His Majesty with all of the medals, it means something
no,
more to
that's
the
what
eye.
got to me now. That
Yes.
was what got to me now. I saw His Majesty in his dress uniform, and when I saw all these medals on His Majesty now, that blew me away, because I'm like, where did this? I thought he was just let me back up. Up to this point, up to that point, I used to think His Majesty was a Jamaican. And I thought Rastas, I thought he had something to do with the army. And in my ignorance, I thought that Rasta just chose to replace this man with whoever God was, just so that they can say this is their God. But something that always a question, but I never asked any Rasta, was why His Majesty don't have locks and you have locks, and how come he's always in military uniform and you burn Babylon? But I just never want to offend them. But
Yes.
as far as I'm concerned, he was Jamaican. And then I met this Ethiopian now, and she's telling me, oh, we went to the Grand Canyon, and she's telling me the Grand Canyon, this humongous canyon, I'm there looking at it, and she's telling me, oh, this is nothing. This could fit in the Great Rift Valley 10 times. I'm like, the what? The Great Rift Valley. The Great Rift Valley. What is the Great Rift Valley? She said, that's a great canyon. It makes this look like a toy. So I'm like, whoa. So I went home and I started studying about this Great Rift Valley. In those days, you have to go to the library. There was no Google. So I went to the library in Colorado, and I saw, whoa, this is Ethiopia. And I'm going more and more, and I saw His Majesty name come up. I'm saying, so what does Haile Selassie have to do with Ethiopia? And then from there, whoa. But it was after that, now, when I saw him in uniform, that I said, no, I need to check more now, get more serious. And by this, I was out of the army. I ran in a Rastaman in New York named Abba Yahuda. Abba Yahuda said he could prove to any man on this place, the face of this planet, that Haile Selassie is the Almighty using the Bible. I wanted to challenge him. But I say, let me see first what he has to offer. And he went and he started finding places in the Bible that I did not know existed. He was showing the word Ethiopia in the Bible, and I was just blown away, because here I am now after 10 years in the army, traveling all around the world. I thought I was somewhat knowledgeable.
Yes.
And this younger man, he was younger than me at the time. Still is.
Yes.
And he just made me feel like, whoa, you don't know nothing, yo. And he didn't prove to me that Haile Selassie was the Almighty at that time. But he gave me reasons to go study the Bible. And he had me so interested in what he was saying, because I'm totally puzzled. How can a Rasta man be in the Bible? But because the word Ethiopia is in the Bible, I'm more confused than anything else.
Okay.
So I went to his home on a Sunday, and there was about 12 Rasses there. And Rasses do them little routine, them in them circle, and them go burn the chalice. I'm thinking, I don't want them Rasses. I think me I know little soft as I'm afraid of chalice, So I took when the chalice come to me, I took a big No, years me not. As a matter of fact, up to that point, I had never touched the chalice.
Okay.
I would burn a little spliff, and so when that happened now, there is incense burning in the house. All of a sudden, I can't see no man face, and the knee them get weak, and he's playing the Bible on the radio. It's James Earl Jones doing the
Yes.
narrating, and he's
Okay.
reading about Ethiopia. And Abba Yahuda gave everyone a Bible. Who didn't bring a Bible, he gave. So I have the Bible, and I'm looking at what the Bible is saying. I'm hearing it coming out of James Earl Jones' mouth. Plus, the Rasses are reading it, but every time they come to Lord and God, they are saying the Lord God, Ras Tafari and Haile Selassie I. And that is not in the Bible. So I'm thinking, no, oh, anything can happen now. So God, I beg you, just get me away from this. And if you get me away from this, I go and turn to you from now on, because anytime now, lightning can come through. And I've never been this scared. 10-year veteran, how you feel this scared? Anyway, the jazz match, I'm there and I sat down. I didn't want no more chalice, and I want to just leave. I want to leave. I felt like I'm being influenced. I pray, and once I got out there and went home that evening, I said, I want to find where in the Bible we were reading about this Ethiopia. So I'm looking. I can't find nothing. All these things we just read about Ethiopia, I'm looking now and I cannot find anything. And I don't want to go back there. I want to stay away from those races, because I don't want anything to influence me.
Yes.
I want to read it on my own and get my own understanding, because
Yes.
there's nobody in this world that can read like me. So I say, all right. I took my mom's brand new Bible and I went in the bathroom and I do a prayer. I said, God, if you are Haile Selassie, show it to me. But if you are not, them Rasta, you're going to have the fight of them life on them hand. And soon as I said that, I opened the Bible just randomly. And guess what we opened it to? Psalms 87.
Hot.
I started reading that about 1 o'clock that night. 1 o'clock, going on the morning, 1 o'clock. 1. And I never stopped reading till when my sister got up to go to the bathroom at 6 o'clock in the morning. That one Psalms. I kept reading because I say I want to understand exactly what the writer is saying. I don't want to believe anything. If this writer is saying the sky is green, I want to make sure that is what he's saying. I don't want to say, no, the sky is not green, it's blue. I want to make sure what he's saying, I'm getting that clearly. I started with Psalms 87.
Yeah,
and
for
when
those who
into,
don't know, block Psalms 87 for those who may not know the psalm.
Of course, I must have to block that psalm. But when I get done with Psalms 87 is saying to me, for anyone that have understanding, Haile Selassie is the Almighty. And from there now, I close back the Bible and I say, okay, there's no book you start reading from the middle. I want to read this book from the very beginning to the end and see if everything corroborates with what Psalms 87. And from that day, it took me about 3 years to study the Bible from front to back. And any man, woman, or child want to challenge me on that, I can show them that Haile Selassie is the Almighty from the Bible. Anyone, I don't care what language you speak. Anyone, I don't care what religion you are. Haile Selassie is the Almighty, and it is said in the Bible. The Bible gives you a profile. The Bible builds a profile, and the profile leads to one man and only one man. Now, black Psalms 87, as you said. Psalms 87. His foundation is in the holy mountains. The Lord loveth the gates of Zion more than all the dwellings of Jacob. Glorious things are spoken of thee, O city of God, Selah. I will make mention of Rahab and Babylon to them that know me. Behold, Philistia and Tyre with Ethiopia. This man was born there. And of Zion it shall be said, this and that man was born in her, and the highest himself shall establish her. The Lord shall count when he writeth of the people, that this man was born there. As well the singers as the players of instruments shall be there. All my springs are in thee, Selah. No, that Psalms, you can pick any part you want, but if you go through the whole thing, that is saying Haile Selassie is the Almighty. Start from the beginning. His foundation is in the holy mountains. That not give you much, but his, you know, it's talking about someone's foundation is in holy mountains. Then it goes the second verse, the Lord. So it must be talking about the Lord. That is the subject. The Lord's foundation is in the holy mountain. The Lord loveth the gates of Zion more than all the dwellings of Jacob. Just the gates of Zion alone. So if he loved the gate that much, can you imagine how he loved the inside? He loved the gates of Zion more than all the dwellings of Jacob. Then it goes on to say, glorious things are spoken of thee, O city of God, which is Zion.
So hold on. So you mean when the Greeks, when Herodotus said that Ethiopia are blameless and where the gods ought to be, that would fall into that description?
Yes, Herodotus was not wrong at all. And not only Herodotus, Homer, they were right. They know what they were saying. They know what they were saying. They know who they know who the worship belonged to. I will make mention. This way it get interesting now. I will make mention of Rahab and Babylon to them that know me. Behold, Philistia and the Tyre with Ethiopia, and following the word Ethiopia is a semicolon. And after the semicolon, this man was born there. So where was this man born? Must be Ethiopia. So no, we don't know who was born. We don't know who this man is talking about. This man was born in, and of Zion it shall be said, this and that man was born in her. No, remember now, you already said this man was born in Ethiopia. No, you're going to say this and that man was born in Zion. So where is Zion? Zion have to be in Ethiopia. If this man, for example, if you're going to say this man, Abuna, was born in Kingston, and then you're going to say this man and the jazz match was born in Jamaica. To make that grammatically and physically correct, then Jamaica, Kingston must have to be in Jamaica. For you to say Abuna is born in Kingston, and to say again that the same Abuna is born in Jamaica, then Kingston have to be in Jamaica. For him to be born in Kingston and to be born in Jamaica. Right? So to say that this man was born in Zion, and then to go and say this man was born in Ethiopia, this and that man was born in Zion, and this man was born in Ethiopia, then Zion must be in Ethiopia. This is where it gets even more interesting now. And the highest himself shall establish her. Her who? Her Zion. Now, we live in the United States. Is the United States an established country? Of course. What makes the United States an established country? It has a system, it has medical system, it has commerce, it has law, the roads. This is a functioning government entity. This is an established country. No, is Ethiopia an established country? Just as the United States or any other country would be established with a judiciary system, with a government body, with roads, with hospitals, and everything, the infrastructure that make a society run. Of course, then it said, no, the highest himself shall establish her. When you look at all aspects of Ethiopia's establishment, guess whose hand is implicitly involved everywhere? Kadamawi Haile Selassie, in every phase. As ancient as this country is, Haile Selassie hand is in every aspect of its development and establishment. Him alone, single-handedly, this man established this country by himself. So there we have the Psalms justifying and being fulfilled by Kadamawi Haile Selassie. And of Zion it shall be said, this and that man was born in her, and the highest himself shall establish her. The Lord shall count when he writes up the people that this man was born there, as well as singers as the players of instruments shall be there. All my springs are in thee. This Psalms is about Ethiopia, and it's also about Zion, which is in Ethiopia. So now, when it's talking about who established Zion and who established Ethiopia, let's turn to the history books. And It's there. One man by himself. The judiciary system, one man by himself. The education system, one man by himself. Aspect, every aspect, one man by himself. There's no other country that one man fingerprint is all over like this. No other country on the face of this earth. No other country.
And we have to.
And it's not just a new country. Ethiopia is the most ancient country on the face of this earth.
The cradle.
Most
and
ancient.
we have to remember that His Majesty gave Ethiopia a constitution of his own volition. There was no demand in the country for a constitution. There was, a lot of people view His Majesty as very conservative right now, but they don't remember that His Majesty had to fight to get the youths them to go to school, for the nobles to send their children to school, for the working class people. He elevated the Ethiopian from a peasant to a citizen with rights. A bill of rights.
Everything.
He set the captives free.
Everything. Oh, no, that's a big one, That's a big one, When you say he set the captives free. When you're speaking about the coronation and the impact of the coronation, you have to look at it from three distinct aspects. The first is from a scriptural. What did the prophecy say about this crowning? What did the prophecy say? What did the scripture say about this man to come? And what would he do? What are the things that you would look for? So that is one aspect, the prophetic aspect or the scriptural implications. Two, the next aspect is the historic time frame when His Majesty got crowned on the 2nd of November, 1930. What was going on at that time? What was going on? You have to inspect it from that aspect, and also know from our vantage point. How did it affect? How did the crowning affect us? Not just me and you personally to say, oh, we are Rasta. Not only that, but on a world level, people that don't even know that this affects them, it does affect them. For example, Christ. Let me go working at Christ. You have people that say, oh, we are not Christian, we don't believe in Christ. You cannot go around Christ. You know why? Every phone that you use must have a date on it before it opens. Every phone, whether it's in Japan, China, India, Europe, any phone you use must have a date on it. Any computer you use must have a date on it before you access it. What is the date reflecting? Isn't every date is a measurement based upon the birth of Christ? You either have BC or AD. So if you're saying you're 40 years old, that means you were born 40 years ago. In 40 years ago, that make you born in our year. This is 2024. So you would have been born in
84.
96. No? 84.
Mm-hmm.
If you're born 84, you're 40 now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yes, I.
Yes. So the thing about now, if you born 1984, 40 years now, so 1984, meaning your birth means that you were born approximately 1,984 years after the birth of Christ. So every date that you record, it pertains or it is reflective of the birth of Christ. Whether it's
but think about the power. Think about the power of a being that can shift the whole time spectrum on a planet.
Imagine
the power of an eye that shifts.
And you don't think that person is real? And you don't think that person is real?
How I say it, if you look at the word of Yeshua, because you can scan the historical record before, and we take the word for granted because it's permeated, you know, popular culture. The
Yes.
Beatitudes, all of these things have become so regularized. But if you look before and then you look at the word, and when you read the word of Yeshua, you see that it was I, same one.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's the
Yes.
same Ras Tafari one, you know what I mean? When you read the word, so it's not strange,
Same
you know what I mean?
people. It's not only the same people, you know, it's the same place.
Same place.
Same place, the same genealogy, same. It's the same. So
It was I
all
and
it
I.
takes is memory.
Yes,
All
it
it
was
takes
I
is
and I.
memory.
Yes.
All it takes is memory. I and I, same way Rasta.
And you know,
So we
I
say no.
go ahead.
The three aspect is the biblical aspect, the prophetic aspect, the scriptural aspect. Then the historical aspect, what happened during that time frame. How did he affect things around him? How did the coronation affect people, places, and things at that time? And then the after effect now in
Yeah,
our
man.
time.
All
How
right. Make we bubble the pot. Make we start scripturally now.
yes.
We are turn up, we are turn it up a little bit, make the onion and the garlic and everything come together.
Simmer.
Yeah, we'll simmer the pot right now. So talk to us about the scriptural. Where does it start in terms of
Okay, the very first scripture that tell of a man coming is Genesis chapter 49. Genesis chapter 49. This is Jacob. Jacob called all 12 of his sons. Jacob is the man who fight with God and God changed his name to Israel. So every time you hear the word Israel, it refers to that man Jacob. Every time you hear the children of Israel, it refers to his sons who are the progenitors of the tribes of Israel. So he called his sons. He is about to pass a transition from earth. He called his son and said, let me tell you what shall befall you in the last days. He tell the
so it's
first son,
prophecy.
Reuben,
Israel is
what's
it's a
going to happen.
prophecy. And I want the
Yes.
people to remember that the Ethiopians preserve this tradition because a lot of us, you know, we have been traumatized through the church. So when,
Yes.
you know, that's why a lot of people burn the Bible because of the trauma brought through the European interpretation. But remember that the Ethiopians, the most ancient African civilization, they preserve this history on their scrolls with the oldest
Yes.
version of the Bible and the
When you say
original
preserve,
characteristics of the people.
when you say preserve, let it be known that you mean actively. They are
Yes,
actively Christian. They
yes.
don't just go to church on Saturdays or on Sundays. It's every single day. They are Christian every day. Actively. Active.
So they
And
keep
their
that tradition.
Christianity is totally different from the Western mode of Christianity. Theirs is what is known as Tewahedo. Tewahedo. Tewahedo see God as man from ancient time.
Yes. And this is a Nile Valley
Tewahedo
civilization. All
recognize.
through the Nile Valley civilization, we've had that concept of the Almighty within man. You know,
Yes.
we call it the Christ consciousness in this time. But
And it's not only man, you know. It is
yes,
what man? It is a man that look just like me and you. It have to be someone of our family.
Haile.
It have to be someone of my family. It can't be an outsider. Cannot be. That's what that was the principle of the Nile Valley.
Yes.
But Genesis 49, every prophecy is incumbent. Everyone. This Genesis 49 is the litmus for every other prophecy that came. So Genesis 49 is the first one about a man coming. So after he spoke, after Israel, who is Abraham, who is Jacob, spoke to his first son, tell him what shall befall him and his family in the last days. Then he came to Simeon, then he came to Levi, then he came to Judah. That's the most interesting one. He said to Judah, Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Judah is a lion's whelp, mean the young of a lion, a young cub. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stooped down. He couched as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rouse him up? The scepter, this is where it get busy now. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet until Shiloh come.
Okay.
Hear the key word, you know. The scepter shall not depart. Take note of that word. That's a very key word. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet until, depart, until. Remember those two words. The scepter is talking about the scepter departing and at a specific time. Until the scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be. Binding his foal unto the vine, and his ass's coat unto the choice vine. He washed his garments in wine, and his clothes in the blood of grapes. This is the beginning of a building profile. This is how you start to build profile now. So you know, okay, we can eliminate all other 11 tribes and just focus on one tribe now, Judah. Out of that tribe, God going to come. This man that is coming that we should give our praise to, he's coming from the tribe of Judah. And you hear about a scepter. Scepter is an instrument that a king uses that denotes power and his rulership. A scepter, something similar to what a band leader carries in a marching band, that denotes that he's the leader of the band. So here the scripture is telling us that a scepter shall not depart from Judah, even before the scepter come. At this time that Jacob is saying these things, he's not a king, and he's not leaving his kingship to Judah. There's no king in Judah yet. There's no king in Israel. There's no king in Jacob. There was no king in Abraham nor Isaac. There's no king in this family yet. The first time a king came was Saul. Saul is the first king, but David is the first monarchy. Monarchy is when it travels from son to son to son. Once it go 3 from father, son, then grandson, the 3rd generation, it becomes now a monarchy, a dynasty. Monarchy. After it passed 3. Now, this one that we're talking about, it started with David. From David to Haile Selassie is approximately 3,000 years old. Or from David to our time is approximately 3,000 years old. And there were over 300 kings from David to Haile Selassie. David was a very a turning point in Ethiopia's history, because it was with the coming of David that brought the Ark of the Covenant to Ethiopia. And the Ark of the Covenant brought the laws of Solomon. Well, not the laws of Solomon, but the Queen of Sheba was so impressed with the way Solomon conducted his affairs that this became a culture of Ethiopia now, because the firstborn of Israel who were in Solomon's court was sent back to tend to Solomon's son. So the culture of which Solomon was king now became a culture in Ethiopia, an Ethiopian realm. So this is an extension of David's realm, the Ethiopian realm at this
and
time
just to
now.
be clear, there were Hebrews
Yes.
in the country before the Solomonic dynasty, because when you check the Falasha, they would tell you that their ancestors came with Moses. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
Because Moses had conquest when Moses was working with the Pharaoh. Moses had military campaigns down into Egypt. You know what I mean? This is
Yes,
the history
yes.
that was recorded, and he had a Ethiopian wife as well. You know,
Yes.
he married an Ethiopian. So these are the things. We have some comments. We have Mama Walete. Someone there I know very well. She heal up the eye. She said
Give
pivotal
thanks.
customs and traditions of a people became law.
Which Walete?
Mama Walete from out of the Brooklyn Nyabingi house who used to live in South Florida.
Oh, yes. Beresford.
Yes, Beresford.
Give her my love. Yes,
that's his
give her
family.
my love.
That's his family. But
to her and the family, give thanks.
Yeah,
I cannot see the
Yeah, no problem. But the importance of this, to paint the picture, because the Potter bubble, the importance of this is that the Bible that was Europeanized or Westernized, in Africa, in the mountains of Africa, this was the national story. This was a story that they told. They were never conquered, so it wasn't imposed on them. This was a story that they were preserving, because the writing of Ge'ez and all of these variation writings, they preserve that tradition, and how they depicted the prophets, they looked African. When you look at the most ancient of the Ethiopian scrolls and these things, you would see African centric. It's changed now because of the corruption that has seeped in, but that's also part of the prophecy. Even Zion, would fall for a time.
One good thing about Ethiopia that caused her to benefit and to be preserved is her location. Ethiopia is located in the highlands. You have to pass 7 cataracts, that's 7 waterfalls, to get to Ethiopia, leaving from Egypt. So it's very treacherous. And then there are animals, there is alligators, some
crocodiles, Nile
crocodiles, hyena,
the biggest in the world.
Hyena,
lion.
So it's
leopard.
hard to come up to Ethiopia.
Yeah,
it's hard to come up. So that's why Ethiopia was so well preserved. And then coming from the east side across Eritrea way from the Indian Ocean,
the Red Sea.
You come across there. That's desert. That's a lot of desert.
Yes.
So that is just as treacherous. So this caused Ethiopia to be well preserved up in the highlands. So her culture just grew and grew and grew, and it was strictly Ethiopian with no outside contact to be contaminated.
And the other thing I want to clear up to is that Ethiopia conquered Yemen. Ethiopia, the land of Ethiopia, especially during Queen Makeda time, the Queen of the South, it included
there were
Yemen.
one.
Because they try to make it look like she was from Yemen, but no, she controlled Yemen, Saudi Arabia. All of that was part of the kingdom of Seba and Sheba and Saba.
And the Yemen would not be a proper place for the seat of the government, because at that time, in those ancient times, they were heavily dependent upon trees. And remember, this is a highly populated place. So there was a lot of cattle. So there was always a need for grazing land and water. So Yemen could not be in Saudi Arabia. That could not be the place. Although it was a part of Ethiopia. Yemen was a part of Ethiopia.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, the last time that an Ethiopian king went over into Arabia to defend this as sovereign territory was Caleb in the 5th century.
Yes,
King Caleb. And it was against Drew Nuwas.
Yes.
Drew Nuwas. He was terrorizing the Christian people over in Yemen, and King Caleb went over there with an army and quelled that riot.
And one of his generals stayed over there and terrorized them over there.
Yes.
And he even invaded Mecca, the year of the elephants,
yes.
On elephant back. So
there's
a lot of history. Well, simmer the pot, I'm not making you feel by yourself, King.
But Ras, the Ethiopia's history in its entirety, and which none of us can really acquire that all of that knowledge, but you know we should aspire to this, and aspiring to that knowledge, it is such a great thing, because it's only then you start to get opened up to the real truth. When you start to remember that Ethiopia was terrorized by Islam from the very outset in the 7th century onward, and that is why the kings of Ethiopia were always inviting the Europeans to come and quell the onslaught that the Arabs were always bringing towards Africa. Ethiopia just remained a sea of Christianity throughout those times. They were surrounded by Islam. And when Lijasuno, in His Majesty time, start to flirt with Islam, this was a definite, this was against Ethiopia's rule, yes, and tradition and customs. This was like a defiling of the throne of David.
Yes, yes.
Because of what it stands for. Now, remember now, as we read in Genesis 49, God is supposed to come sit on that throne and judge the world. That's the importance of that throne. Every other places you look in the Bible, it support that prophecy. Every other prophecy about a man coming and a man coming and a man coming. Even Christ is prophesied to return to sit upon that throne and deliver judgment.
Yes, sir. And he said, it's not my time. Yeshua said, that is not Iman work.
It's not, and it's not for you to know. Now, exactly. Wow. And one of the great one, and Moses prophesied about a man coming. Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6. For unto us a son is born, unto us a child is given. No, rather, for unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given. And the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Ever-Living Father. Of the increase of his government and peace, there shall be no end upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and justice from henceforth, even for evermore. No, that's another piece of, to the profile, you know. That's another in building your profile. This is another piece, another more information. No, this man have to rule government. The government have to be upon his shoulder. I remember we just read in
Yeshua did not carry the government on his shoulder.
No. And even if it's impossible for Christ to come back now. You know why? Because if you look today, there is no throne. The throne has departed. And the first prophecy said, the scepter shall not depart until
the coming of Shiloh. What Shiloh mean?
Shiloh was a river.
Mm-hmm.
And it was
Shiloh mean peace. Yeah, peace on earth.
The river is so peaceful and calm, and the importance of the water. So Shiloh is like a metaphor. A metaphor. It doesn't mean that he's going to name Shiloh.
Yes.
And even if it didn't mean that he's going to name Shiloh, it cannot be just that, because every name that you put in the Bible and say, this is going to be God's name when he comes, guess what man do? Take it and apply it to themselves.
It's true.
If the Bible said, God going to name that jazz match when him come, you know, man take that and put it on themselves. Man take Emmanuel, put on themselves. Man take every name and put on themselves. Man did name Haile Selassie before too. But none of them had all the names and all the action to go with what curtails the name. Like I said, the profile. Whoa, that just blow you away.
And,
So,
it's
more
so
prophecy.
important because even in 1930, the OAU had not been established. The beast had not made war with the lamb. You know, there was so much, even though the glory of the Deso right there was still so much to come within the fulfillment. You know what I mean?
Yes. So that's why I know you have to look at it from a historical point of view also, and from how it affect, how is the coronation affect that time. And I think, well, there's none more interesting than none, because all the prophecies are very important. There's the prophecy in Revelation chapter 19.
Okay.
And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. I want to tell you something. You know, there's a picture of His Majesty on that white horse.
Yes.
And this was during the time of the Italian War. His Majesty got all the titles. So it would seem like His Majesty take the script of the Bible, and just say, you know what? Oh, God supposed to have white horse. Never have white horse. Now, if His Majesty do that, and fulfill it to such precision, meticulously, then whoa, then what? There cannot be any Christ then.
But what you have to remember though, just because you want to fulfill doesn't mean that history and the circumstance allow you to fulfill.
Exactly.
That is what you have to also call.
That's
so
why I
can
said
get
perfectly.
up. Yeah, I can get up and say me are the Almighty tomorrow, but I would never be born in the mountains
to fulfill
of Zion. You know what I mean? I would never have the whole African continent's freedom on my shoulder at a particular point, because when the beast makes war, every other African space is conquered and under colonial rule. This is an island of African independence, and the only one
on it. You touched a thing a while ago about the freedom of Africa.
Haile.
That is the most important, because you see, in 1930, when you look 6 years before 1930, when you look at the state of melanin people, African people, all over the world, everywhere, name a place, they are all in destitute condition, all conquered and trampled. They are all servants. Only one free country you have, you know. History going to tell you that it is two. History will tell you that it is Liberia and Ethiopia. But Liberia was not an independent country for African people. The United States established Liberia as a
people
colony.
To research Firestone Company, what Firestone Company
I'm Michelin, I'm Goodyear.
The American Colonization Society, who shipped the Africans there and who ran the affairs of government and funding and all of these things that was coming from Congress up until recent time. So Liberia can't qualify, and big up all of my Liberia Lion Pride and Liberia family. You know, so we love you and we respect you, but the item were not independent in the sense of Ethiopia.
No, the true in the sense of the true word. They were colonized by the United States for the sake of getting rubber. That is the truth. No, so let me go back now to 6 years before coronation. That is a very important time frame, because that would carry you to 1924.
Haile, the visit, the great tour.
Yeah. Hey, Rasta, hey, they're just much. You're rough, you know, you're tough. No, one of the biggest things accomplished on this great tour, and for your viewers, what we are talking about is 1924, when Kadamawi Haile Selassie, as regent, went on a tour of Europe. He toured about 10 or 12 major European countries. This is in 1924. One of the greatest things His Majesty accomplished at that time in the capacity as regent was to get Ethiopia to be a member of the League of Nations. This is 1924. Ethiopia became a member of the League of Nations. That is 6 years before His Majesty was crowned King of Kings. All right? What's the impact of the crowning now and the impact of this this entrance or admission to the League of Nations? So we're in the League of Nations. No, the stipulation for Ethiopia to be a member of the League of Nations was for Ethiopia to get rid of slavery. That was almost an impossible task because, as you know, slavery, not the Atlantic slave trade, but slavery started in Ethiopia. Slavery was a common, it was part of the culture. Part of the culture.
From Asian.
And let me explain the kind of slavery. Let's say I'm in a position where I need some money, I need a loan. I come to you, there's the jazz match, and I say, hey, my wife is sick and I need $10,000 for surgery. You know that I don't have the money to pay you back. Ain't no way, but you want to lend me this money for the purpose of taking care of my medical bills. So you lend me the money and I say, okay, I will return the payment at this time. Didn't meet the time, so now I owe you this money. So now you can have me as a slave because I broke the contract. And what that means now, every work that you need performed, I would have to do it until I work off that $10,000. So I'm gonna be attached to you until and I could also bring my family now. I could bring a son or two sons so that it can work off faster. So every day that I am attached to you is a DSP. And if it's 2 sons or 3 sons, then is triple time. So the money work off faster. That was the kind of slavery. And it was a part of the culture. Sometimes even after the bill, after the debt is paid off, the man still want to be a slave because he got treated so well. Sometimes these slaves even became a part of the family, married into the family. So it wasn't as degrading. Another way to get slaves was through wars. You could get slaves through wars. Yes. You know, you go and you fight against that tribe and you capture them, they become a slave now. And their jobs would be to draw your wood, cut your wood for fuel, to burn, and bring your water your cattle and stuff like that, menial work. Mm-hmm. So that was the kind of slavery that was embedded in Ethiopia. So when His Majesty, when Ethiopia applied for entrance, for membership, they gave Ethiopia this task, impossible task: get rid of slavery first and we'll admit you to the League of Nations. But His Majesty took 12 of the worst, the baddest boys them with him when he was going on the trip. He took all the bad boys them. So Emperor Zadi too had no problem when His Majesty was going.
We have to mention Ras Haile. We have to mention Ras Haile out of Goja, the baddest of the bad man. Goja man.
All of them.
Yes.
All that pure bad boy take with him, man. Hey, and Europe had a taste of them. They behave. So when these bad boys gone now and it was time now to put out a proclamation to end slavery, it was easy. And that was how slavery ended. It is different from what America, the United States, that is, France, England, and all of these European countries that were involved in the Atlantic slave trade. They abolished. What abolishment mean is that, okay, I'm no longer involved in it, but the operation is still going. It only means that I am not involved in it anymore. I'm not doing it anymore. But it is still going on. When Tafari Haile Selassie put out that proclamation that ended the act of slavery. So Haile Selassie ended slavery. Remember that. Not
Yes.
abolish nor stop. Ended because of that act in 1924. And that was how Ethiopia became a member of the League of Nations. So now Ethiopia is a league.
Slavery was
Ethiopia,
also punishable by death too. You have to put
yes,
the body in, and him did have to rough up some people, as you say. Make example, because there was some
yes,
very entrenched
ended,
elements there, you know.
ended
And
slavery.
this is also when the legend and the fear of Tafari is starting to bubble in the
Yes.
society, because he moved so decisive. They thought he was a nerd, you know, because he's a small in stature, him read books, but him very serious and him very focused. So
And not loud at all.
not loud
Calm,
at all.
very calm.
And he started the fight with slavery in 1916 upon his appointment as Ras, you know, after the Lijayasu, because Lijayasu was benefiting from these trade and different things too.
Yes.
So when he had the power, he started, but by 1924 he had consolidated, you know, because it was a constant process of consolidation, because as I said, the Rases were not for him because they thought his bloodline was one of the weakest claims to the Solomonic throne, through Ras and through the female line. So they never take him serious, you know what I mean? And they were also plotting to get on the throne. This was a real soap opera that was happening. And as I said, yeah, as a strategist, he took his enemies, his worst enemies, on this European tour. He also brought a couple lions too, you know, for the European leaders, for make them know, say, oh, we are tried as Judah, because he knew that, you know, there was this exotification of Africa at the time.
Yes.
Bringing some lion, I think some zebra and some different animal, and gave them as gifts as well. And this was written all the European press. It was a huge deal.
Big, it was big.
Prince of Peace.
And,
you know
I remember now, a lot of these provincial races, there was animosity between some of them.
Yes.
So there was big competition and spending competition going on in Europe. So let's say now, I as a Ras, I am not going to make you buy 100 pair of shoes and take back to your... I have to do the same. When they were about to come back, these men had the boat so full, they had the ship so full, they had to dump a lot of stuff. They went on some spending frenzy. That is not what His Majesty was doing. His Majesty was visiting government buildings, municipal centers,
yes,
libraries, museum. His Majesty wanted them to come and experience Europe and take back ideas for the progress of Ethiopia, because His Majesty far-sighted and knew what was coming, you know.
Yeah, man. Far
Look how far-sighted His Majesty is. 12 years before the war, His Majesty is a member of the League of Nations, and that saved Ethiopian people. Yes. They never wanted to be a part of the League of Nations, you know. And His Majesty maneuvered.
Also, because
in the League of Nations.
From a legal standpoint, I mean, I have to put in the legal part. Sorry for cut the eye, but you know, you get I man excited. We are bubble the pot, you know.
Yes, the legal part is very crucial.
Yes, because
very
in order to bring judgment and justice, you know, he had to.
Yes.
There had to be a common standard by which to be judged. So to be fair, everyone have to know what the rules and the standard is. And so he joined the league that had a clear charter. This is why when he went to the League of Nations, this is why you see the constant reference to the charter and his application of the rules of international law. This was
collective security.
Law. Yes, this is when it on trial, and let them know the prophecy. He shall judge the nation in righteousness.
Yes,
you know what I mean. Yes. These are, as you say, the profile.
That's what defunct the League of Nations, you know. That's what defunct the League of Nations, because they never came to Ethiopia's defense as per the charter.
Yes.
Because the charter states, it's stated in the charter, the stronger nations would not allow weaker nations to be gobbled up by the bigger nations. And if outside forces attack any member, then we were all gonna come to the aid of that member country. So it's collective security and protection. Now, one of the opposition for His Majesty at the time was England, and one of the ones that got His Majesty in was Italy, ironically. So here we go now. 6 years after His Majesty got admitted, 6 years later, he's crowned in the biggest event of the century, King of Kings. Now, at that point, no black man anywhere is celebrated. Nowhere on the face of this planet. The only place you have a black man having any kind of recognition is in the United States, a gladiator called Jack Johnson.
Yes.
Other than that, African is not celebrated in nothing, nowhere, nothing on the face of this planet. We are the lowest people in 1930. And here we go.
Let's also talk about the Roaring 20s, the Jim Crow South, the terrible lynchings that were taking place.
And remember, in the heat of this is Marcus Garvey.
The rise of the UNIA, the Great Depression is on the way because
the Ohio,
the
burning of of Oklahoma. Oklahoma burning them.
All of these things are taking place.
Pure wickedness to African people everywhere and anywhere they can be founded. Jamaica, no difference. This is 1930. No African, no melanin man had any job of importance. They were all sugarcane cutters. No bank job, no office job. They were all of these jobs were taken by Europeans. It took another 30 years when we got independence before a lot of these Europeans started to run out in 1960. Same thing in the United States. It took Martin Luther King in the 60s to be crying for equal rights, for civil rights.
And we have to acknowledge the great James Webb, the pastor, who said,
yes.
And
Bob and then Marcus Garvey pick up this and utter this and not only use it as a banner, but he made it a successful action. It became an activity. For the first time now, Africans are going back to Africa physically.
Yes.
And that was all due to the coronation.
Well, one of the things that we found out recently, and I'm going to have Ras Ether Kamal with the documentation, is that we found out that during this 1920s period, a young Rastafari is in communication with the UNIA. We've also heard that he was the largest donor in terms of single contribution economic to the UNIA, and acknowledging, his message to the UNIA was read at one of the conventions, and also, so there was some connectivity. We also know the Ford family, the Ford family, who Abbey Ford, who was at Howard University, his father, who wrote the national anthem for the UNIA, that they moved to Ethiopia shortly after the coronation at the invitation, as Rastafari put out a proclamation inviting African Americans to come and help him to build his burgeoning nation. And he said that he was doing this because having African Americans would cause less disruption with Ethiopians who are not accustomed to seeing foreigners. So he wanted Black Americans to come. They were denied by the State Department. A lot of obstacles thrown in their way, so it wasn't able to come. This is how his mind said to pivot to Europeans, Indians, and different other people. But he was really keen on connecting with the African American in particular, population because of the connection. And of course, we know how we feel about Jamaica from his utterance.
Yes.
So this is a very important time leading up to the coronation. And also, let us say that in 1924, he's also laying the seed so that when he sends his invitations out in 1930,
yes,
he's
yes,
ensuring
yes.
that these royal families and these bloodlines would be in attendance, because all of these people are connected to these royal bloodlines. The kings of that at that time, they never used to travel internationally. You know, His Majesty is
No.
the first head of state that really started travel the earth
Extensively to
Yes.
every country, every free country.
Yes, you know what I mean? So His Majesty start that trend, but before that, you would send your foreign minister, you send,
Yes.
you know what I mean, your ambassador, this, that. So all of these countries, when their representatives bow down at the coronation, as was the protocol, when we say that all nations have to bow,
All nations, all heads of state.
what we're referring to is the representation that these white European nations sent their representatives from the bloodline, the royal bloodlines, to bow before an African king who was seated on the throne of King David. But I
in
don't
1930.
1930.
In 1930. Look at the state of the world in 1930, and this is what is happening. This is not something usual. This is very, very unusual. One African man in one free country. No, remember, colonialism and what they did to Africa after slavery was as a result of the Berlin Conference. The Berlin Conference was 1884.
Yes.
So 1884 to 1930. That's not much. That's not a whole lot of time. They still have their colonial ideas. And then when you look at what happened after 1930, you see that, they still had these colonialist ideas. Even now, look at what is going on right now. France still don't want to give up on Burkina Faso and the rest of the African country that they still have colonized. So colonization is something that they still cherish and still want to dominate over I and I people with. They still think they are superior to us, and they are privileged to these owning these countries in Africa as theirs. So from the Berlin Conference to the crowning, they still had these colonist ambitions, and way after, up to our time, they still have it. So 1930, when His Majesty crowned, they could not afford this. They could not afford for slaves in the West and other Africans in Africa to know that something like this had happened, that a melanin man has been crowned King of Kings, Lord of Lords, and the whole entire globe bowed before him. All nations, they cannot afford for this to get out. 6 years later, big war. As a matter of fact, 5 years later, in 1935, there's a big war, and this was intended to wipe out Ethiopia at all costs, and for Italy to take over. So this is doomsday for melanin man and woman, had it not been for Kadamawi Haile Selassie. Doomsday, totally wipe out. If Haile Selassie is not the Almighty, we would have been doomed. No man could have saved us. No Marcus Garvey couldn't save us. We had
I love Marcus, but Marcus mostly was theoretical, in terms of his
rhetoric, a lot of rhetoric. True.
You know what I mean? It was a theoretical.
And,
it was
and
inspiration and theory.
Yes.
The practice was in Ethiopia.
The practical part is Kadamawi Haile Selassie, man.
Yeah, and it's so difficult to even run a parent-teacher organization, much less an Asian empire. Anybody who's been in leadership will know how difficult it is to pull together a nation of ones that were at war. It's, you know, blood has been shed between the kingdoms for hundreds of years, you know, up until this point. And then you still have the European external, you know, and then you have all of the European spies, the people who have been bribed. You have the Italian incursion in Eritrea that is there fomenting problems. You have the Ottoman Empire that is fomenting disturbance. They were using Lija Yasso to gain a foothold because remember, this time the Ottomans are still in control of Egypt, and at this time, and the source of the Nile has always been coveted by the world powers, you know, the Nile River, and they know the potent potential.
European and Arabs always want that. That's what everyone wants.
That is the crown jewel, you know, in the mountains.
Even just the other day, during the building of the GERD, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, it was a big thing. They tried to sabotage this project big time. They even killed the engineer, the chief engineer, before the project was completed. They murdered him. They assassinated the chief engineer. The GERD is a
you know that concept come from His Majesty time. You know, he tried to do that during Coronation, and they tried to sabotage him from that time too. You know, they tried to sabotage it, and he brought them to court to international court over this matter with the dam. So this is, go ahead.
This is His Majesty's idea still in progress in Ethiopia. If you look at some of the old currency that has His Majesty on them, if you look at the back, you will see the idea or intention for this dam was already on the money.
Yes, sir.
It's drawn on the money, it's drafted. And it is now in our time, just recently, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that it came into fruition.
Hydroelectric, you can light up East Africa.
Man, can you imagine what this is going to do? Because we haven't felt the full impact of this yet. You know, within the next 10 years, we will just be feeling this.
It's not fully online, but this is why Ethiopia is at war now, because they're trying to destabilize. Of Zion. And as you said, the highest of himself, the development plan that Haile Selassie set in motion is still being implemented to this day.
So all of this is part of the coronation too. All of this is impact from the crowning.
So take us, hold on there, because the pot is fully heated right now. We want to add some spice to the pot now. Take us to impact. You laid out 3 areas, the biblical. Give us some more prophecy in terms of how does that fit in for those who are looking at this from a prophetic standpoint.
A nice one would be Zephaniah chapter 3. Therefore, this is Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 6. I cannot quote that one.
Yes.
Well, I could. Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 6. Wait upon me, therefore, saith the Lord, for my determination is to bring. Oh, let me do it the right way.
Take your time, because I want to get into the 3. I want to get into the coronation garment. I want to get into the scepter, because the orb, you know what I mean? All of these things have symbolism. The Psalms, we never talk about Psalms 101, you know what I mean? That is uttered. The priests that were chanting for 7 days and 7 lights, the Psalms of King David, you know what I mean?
Yes, I.
Because these are all symbolic in terms of, as I say, the fulfillment. Subtext. This is for the mystery schools, the esoteric. He's sending symbols out to the world, and this is
when he was crowned. There was 7 articles of coronation, and one of them was a golden globe of the earth. Why would you present to an emperor of Ethiopia a golden globe of the earth? Why not a plaque of Ethiopia? A golden globe of the earth that shows authority and his rulership. Anyway,
Yes.
here is a prophecy that I want to bring to your and the
Okay.
viewers' attention. Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 8. Therefore, wait ye upon me, saith the Lord, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour out upon them my indignation, even all my fierce anger. For all the earth shall be devoured with the wrath, with the fire of my jealousy. He's jealous for his people, Israel. For then, this is where it gets sweet. For then will I turn to the people a pure language, that they may call upon the name of the Lord to serve him with one consent. From beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, my suppliant, even the daughter of my dispersed, shall bring mine offering. From beyond the rivers of Ethiopia shall my daughters, even my dispersed, bring mine offering. Even the daughter of my dispersed shall bring mine offering from beyond the rivers of Ethiopia.
Okay.
That's Zephaniah chapter 3. I will turn unto the people a pure language. No, in 1930, really and truly, the official language of Ethiopia at that time, you could have said was Ge'ez, because there was no way for people who was learning Amharic at the time to learn. It was impossible. So and Ge'ez was being used in the priest by the clergy. So it was more used than Amharic. But it was when His Majesty now became the Minister of Education, turned one of his palace into school, and converted or translated the Bible to Amharic from the ancient Ge'ez. That's when the Amharic language started to be more in circulation, especially the more schools and the more learning institutions that were created. So His Majesty was the one who spread the learning of Amharic, this pure language. So that's another fulfillment of prophecy. I never got a chance to finish 19, Revelation 19.
Yes.
And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse. And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. And in righteousness he doth judge and make war. He had on his head many crowns, and his name is called the Word of God. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in linen fine and clean. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. And he hath on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. That is all. No, that title, King of Kings and Lord of Lords, that's an Ethiopian title. Negus Negestat. That's the actual title. Negus Negestat. That's an Ethiopian title. So these are all Ethiopian institutions. Another Ethiopian institution is Conquering Lion of the Tribe of Judah. That's an Ethiopian institution. So if Christ is coming in the earth to bear these titles, Christ must have to be Ethiopian. You cannot come and bear these titles that are Ethiopian institution if you're not an Ethiopian. Just like you cannot come and say your what do you call it? The president of the United States was not a nickname, but it's another word that you use to describe
The
the
POTUS?
president of the United. Huh?
The POTUS?
No. Well, anyway, when I remember.
Yes.
Well, when you use eagle, when you talk about eagle, you're talking about one country. They have the copyright for that.
Yes.
They have the copyright for that. So when I say it's an Ethiopian institution, that's what I'm alluding to.
You mean the
These
trademark?
are
The trademark.
that belongs to Ethiopia and Ethiopia alone.
Yes.
Exactly.
And then
Those
there's no
titles.
other nation on the planet, including the state of Israel, that has a Davidic throne that can claim that
None.
bloodline. Without Ethiopia, the Bible don't make no sense. The prophecy is void.
None.
It's void without
None.
Ethiopia existence and that reality of that bloodline. There is no power to those words that say, you know, that the line of David will endure as long as the sun and the moon endure on these things.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, Commander-in-Chief, is that what you wanted to say?
I think there could be Commander-in-Chief of
Sister
other.
Princess, cause the comments are bubble. Give thanks for everyone in the comments. If you have any questions and you want to put them in there, you can put them in there. Mama Walete said, take I night to Holy Trinity Cathedral, November 2nd, 1930. We're bubbly party now. We're not rush. We're not rush a coronation time, family. We are going there tonight. We have Ras Abuna here. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the platform. This is Ras Tafari Independent Non-Aligned Media. And we have some members of the Lion Pride and Patreon checking in. I saw Fight Babylon. I saw Dr. Walete Patreon family. I see Gain Ampme. That are the Lion Pride and Patreon. I see Bingy Carlton. Rastafari live and reign. Him say love the reasoning. It's a heavyweight, my brother. Okay. You see the quality. This is what we're bringing to the family. So we Army Gideon TV, Kadamari Haile Selassie is the original man.
Genocide.
Who coined the term genocide.
Nice. Genocide and nuclear proliferation. His Majesty coined those words. Every time His Majesty spoke, they had to run to go find the meaning of words. He always give them new words.
Yes, master of the word, master of the word. Yeah, man, it's serious. I see it's another good one on. I just tapped in, and it's always a joy to sit in on a good reasoning on the ICE platform, Rastafari. Big up yourself, Lion Pride. Anywhere you're calling, just let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We know it's a global platform. Please, in the comments, drop where you're watching from, Lion Pride. Check in, make
Gideon.
Haile. He said, please.
Yes, so like the sisters, let's go to Georgis Cathedral, 2nd of November 1930. The great grand coronation of Kadamawi Haile Selassie on this Sunday morning. What does this really represent? Like I said, if you go back and check history, the African man and the African woman, melanin people in general, were at their lowest. The man and the woman at their lowest. They in this earth, they worth nothing. They could be killed in America and no one account for it. They could be invaded by any European country, by anyone, and no one answer for it. But on this day, on the 2nd of November, when the whole entire earth had to come pay homage, not only to the black man, not only to the African melanin man, but also to the woman. This was the resurrection of I and I people, live and direct. Live and direct. That's what was happening. This was the awakening. This was the reinstating the melanin man and woman to their rightful position. That was the start of it. It's still not completed yet because we're still not fully there yet. But that's when it started. At that point, nothing good had happened for African people for over 2,000 years. No crowning. No one ever came and acknowledge anything that we had done. No, nothing in science, nothing in leadership, nothing up to this point, except as gladiators, like I said, Jack Johnson. And after, well, no, let's stick to the coronation, the articles of the coronation, and their representation. There were 7 articles. The crown, triple crown. Of course, the triple is for Father, Son, and the whole of one, whole of Iris. Some people might say spirit. But this is the 3rd time His Majesty is being crowned or anointed to this position, to this elevation. He's finally at the top now. It also took an anointing. The first anointing was, I think you make reference to it, 1916.
1916.
When the triumvirate was formed.
Yes.
With the church, His Majesty, and Empress Zaudi too. His Majesty would be for the foreign affairs, deal with external affairs. Zaudi to sit on the throne, while the church would be for the nourishment of the people in spiritual affairs. So that was a triumvirate that was formed.
His Majesty started running the nation in 1916 in terms of the administration, but he didn't have power.
Yes.
Because the Empress Zaidi had retainers that were also her advisors that were, these were heavy duty in terms of the Solomonic bloodline. And so His Majesty was very constrained in 1916 in terms of the moves he could make on the chessboard. But they left all the things that they thought were boring to him because them know same love them administration. And His Majesty never mind because Ethiopia needed all of these administrations. So he busied himself with putting in the infrastructure. This is when he starts sending people to college abroad. He starts to the far I know, where he knows that he's going to need people trained in Western education to run his administration. So he finds people from the working class because he know they would have loyalty to him. So this is now rising the poor and the needy. The expectation of the poor shall not always be forgotten. You see what I say? So he start working with the poor, send them abroad. Some of the nobility children too.
A lot of them, yes.
Yes. And
because they're supposed to go and learn and come back and implement new ideas in Ethiopia. Because Majesty know the claim that they're going to use to justify themselves, that is the fascist Italians, the claim that they're going to use is that they're coming on a colonize, on a civilizing mission.
Yes.
That's the claim that they use. But look how far advanced Ethiopia was. And yet, His Majesty tried to make more advances and they break down and mash up everything, especially when they came in with the war. 1935 October.
They killed that generation. All of them youths, they were His Majesty send the original youths, they were slaughtered.
Murdered.
Italian invasion. Methodically slaughtered.
It was a big setback. The rings, 2 rings. He had two rings, filigree in gold. He had the sword. He had the lances. Of course, the lance and the sword. One is long distance defense, which is the lance, long distance defense, and the sword, short distance defense. And golden globe of the earth. You got the whole world in his hands. That's what that signify. The garments, red and dipped in blood, fulfillment of Isaiah 63 and the same Revelation 11 and Genesis 49. So anyone want to take notes and go check these out. And then we said the sword, the crown, the lances filigree in gold, the scepter and the departing of the scepter. So we know that crowning took place 1930, and in 1976 His Majesty was not on the throne anymore. And since that, this throne has been vacant. Does that constitute a departure?
Yes.
Of course it is a departure. But what does the scripture say? It will not depart until Shiloh come. So now that it has departed, what does this signify? What is the implication of the departure?
That Shiloh has
Shiloh
come.
has come.
Peace on earth.
That's what that means.
Yes.
Shiloh has come. So it's incumbent upon us then to go find out who is Shiloh. And when you look at all the kings who sit on the throne, remember now, it tell you clear what he was coming to do. He was coming to give laws. He was coming to effect laws. Laws are not only on Israel, laws on the people, on the earth, on the globe. The globe that he demonstrated when he got crowned. How did he do this? Well, after the war was over, of course, the League of Nations was no more because they failed their duties. But His Majesty saw the need for a world governing body. So His Majesty summoned the whole world to come and let us form the United Nations. It is Haile Selassie, Kadamawi Haile Selassie, who is the key founding member of the United Nations.
Talk about the famous meeting of the head of United States and the head of Russia on the Suez Canal on a ship.
Yes,
who's
that? Roosevelt. That was Roosevelt.
Yes. And cruise.
And they met at the Suez Canal.
Yes. This is where the UN concept, but they have hijacked the UN. They failed to listen to the warning, and now we are in a judgment Armageddon time because
that is what set the pace of the judgment. That is what you have to do to set the judgment, you know. The time before His Majesty was born, the time when Emperor Theodorus,
yes,
when he started to put down the vassal kings and he started the new consolidation.
Yes.
During his time, that time frame is known as the investigative judgment. That time frame, that time period, that's what that is called, the investigative judgment.
Explain.
Well, by the terminology, it means you're going to investigate before you administer a judgment.
Okay.
The investigation take place and then you administer a judgment.
Okay.
So that time period, a big thing that happened that saved Ethiopia also was when Menelik allowed Napier, General Napier,
yes,
Admiral Napier from the British expedition force
to
pass through his territory so that they could go get Emperor Theodore.
Yes. He was escorted by the Chasmach Casamercha, who would become Emperor Johannes too.
Yes.
He was escorted. Menelik chose not to. They tried to get Menelik on board. Menelik stood back and said, I will make it go on. So
but Menelik made a deal with them. Once you get done your work, Casa get back his territory, which is Tigray, and his government, which is Magdala. So he's gonna be the king. But once he passes, Menelik is going to become the king. That was the deal that was made. And all the weapons that the British brought, you have to leave them with me. You have to leave them with Menelik. So that's why they had weapons, machine gun that could fight the Italian. The Italian never expect.
But those weapons fell to Casamercha, which is why Emperor Johannes became the emperor. Because what happened is that because he escorted the British, he ended up with all of the weapons, and then Menelik had to come with a stone on his shoulder. There's a very famous period in Ethiopia where Menelik had to bend the knee to Johannes because he had all of these modern weapons. And Menelik, because they never know if they would succeed. Menelik was waiting to see because they didn't know the strength of Tedros, even because Tedros never lose a battle on the battlefield. So Menelik thought that they would kill each other and everything would have done, and then him could have just come in and crown.
Yes.
But they were successful because Tedros had alienated the Oromo, everyone, because he started getting erratic and murder.
Bad boy, man.
And, you know.
And what he did, he lock up some people from Europe because he commissioned them to make a big cannon. And when they fail, he just said, okay, I'm going to lock them up, and just lock them up.
Yes.
They dubbed him as the mad emperor, you know.
I know. All of this is in my book, you know. I just want the people to know.
But there is nothing mad about Emperor Theodore, you know.
Yes.
Not mad about him. And one famous lie that they tell is that he killed himself.
Okay.
There is no Ethiopian that sit on the throne of David that would kill themselves, because in his mind, in his psyche, him sitting on this throne, he know he represent God Almighty. So he know where no Ethiopian gonna sit on that throne and kill himself.
Okay.
No.
Okay,
impossible.
That's a serious claim you drop away.
Impossible.
Tonight. We have to bring it forward for a whole episode just on Tedros, because that's a big claim that, you know, you're giving some insight in terms of the history.
But his son too, his son.
Yes.
I know his remains is still
are in the UK.
Alemayo.
Yes, Alemayo. Yes,
Still, but the impact where His Majesty have, His Majesty crowning, that can't finish. That will affect with
well, hold on there, because we're on Tedros, so we have to go to the scepter, because remember where the scepter was stolen during the raid of Magdala, and it was taken to the UK.
A lot of things. A lot of things was stolen.
Our brethren, our elder Ras Seymour, take back some of the scrolls and
they're still giving back stuff now. They returned a crown some time ago, maybe about 2 or 3 years ago. So the jazz match, our relics, our artifacts, they were always stolen, you know. We are the only race of people where we have people coming from outside of our territories coming into our homeland to dig up our dead, you know. We is the only one, and we just sit back and watch these people dig up with dead, but they are anthropologists and archaeologists.
Archaeologists.
They do that in Egypt every day and in Sudan every day.
Yeah,
and
man.
dig up.
And hide a lot of information. Hide a lot of information that they find.
You don't know all them things that you don't know them things that get me upset. But that's a different subject.
Yes. But the scepter now, it was there's a whole story about the return. His Majesty demanded the return of the scepter, and it had to be brought by the Duke of Gloucester. You know, the
and
royal
he did bring it.
Yes, he did bring the scepter.
And when he brought it and he bowed so low, that, you know, he couldn't be the king of England, you know. That's why he couldn't be the king of England, you know.
Yes.
And if you even see the video of him bowing, he was too animated. He knew that this was a special man. Yes. I heard a story that his dad, who is George VI, used to be able to throw up an apple and cut it in 6 pieces. So this little boy, this kid, when he was a child, Edward, used to brag that his dad is the greatest chivalry man. Because that was the order of the day, you know. When you're a king or when you're from royalty, it was 2 requirements. You have to be a good swordman and you have to be a good horseman.
Yes.
His Majesty, when I say His Majesty was an expert at those things. At a very young age, His Majesty could mount his ass. That means he bring up the ass on the 2 back foot and make him turn, do a 360.
But remember, hold on there. Remember, say His Majesty was training with the Oromo cavalry from Harar, you know, which was the greatest horseman in the country, you know. We're loyal to Ras McCunnin, him father, you know. We pledge allegiance. These men will work for no one but young Tafari, you know, because Ras McCunnin win their loyalty. You know what I mean?
Well, I know. Well, they just much pass. You know, say what is Ras McCunnin?
In terms of heritage,
tribe.
It's mixed. Him have Amara, him through Haile Selassie, him have Tigray through him grandfather, him have Oromo too. So yeah.
But you know, he's more Oromo than anything else, and that's where he came from, down in a Oromo land, down a Shashamane there.
Yeah, okay.
That's why His Majesty could give us Shashamane, you know, because that's Oromo land.
Yes.
And I always wonder why His Majesty find it so fitting for we go live amongst the baddest people upon the face of the earth. Cause Oromo them, the Oromo them. Remember, you remember Ras Michael?
Yes.
Did you see daddy?
Yes, I.
Oromo that too, you know.
Yes, I from Wallo.
All right. And he bad up the boy them when them come across the border, you know.
Yeah, man, that was one of the great wars for the throne, you know, when you see His Majesty crowned for fighting so many wars. When Ras Michael stormed Addis, you know, with the Oromo and the cavalry.
With 40,000.
Yeah, man, and His Majesty have to take the airplane. The first time airplane fly in a battle in Ethiopia is that battle with Ras Michael. And that is when they start really fear His Majesty, because they bring out something where they've never seen this before. You know what I mean? And they say, what kind of youth is this? This is a quiet youth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but hey, I'm be a bad boy, His Majesty they have to deal with, you know. When I say bad man, you know,
man.
That's not talk about, you know. You got one named Balcha.
Yeah, Balcha too. Yeah, man.
Balcha, when His Majesty tell Balcha, say, you can't bring so much people come to Addis Ababa because we don't know where to feed them and we don't know where to put them up. Him say, well, I'll tell you what, we'll leave them out on the hillside there. But if 6 o'clock come and them don't see me return, His Majesty trick him now. While him bringing 600 man coming and left the big retinue, the major part of army out there on the hillside away. His Majesty send some man go out there, go buy them weapon from them and pay them to go home. So Balcha sit down there and Balcha man them. A big up Balcha, because when His Majesty invite him, swear to God is a promotion him will get, you know.
Yeah, man.
So man them there and His Majesty tell his soldiers not to drink no alcohol. And when Balcha man them a big up Balcha, don't say nothing. And then follow instruction, Balcha dead the man and the party nice and him drink liquor and him
John.
big up himself. And when time for him left now, and him bid him farewell and go back out upon the mountain, not no there, only him alone.
The man running a church.
Just search man carry him. He was the one that made the comment.
Yes.
Tafari walk like a mouse, but he have the jaws of a lion.
Conquering lion of the tribe of Judah. You know what I mean?
What you expect? This man is just fascinating in every way. And it's not just I Rasta said that, because there's hardly any books that we write. Thankful for now, the newer generation. See, they have books now. It's not too many Rastas that have books. Not too many. So we give thanks for that. But you know, all the people who have books, the things that they say about His Majesty is just it's worth reading. It's there.
Glory,
It's all
honor,
there.
and majesty is there. You know what I mean?
Glory, honor, majesty.
And what I love
they
about
don't have
His
no choice but to
Majesty,
tell the truth.
yeah, what I love about His Majesty is that when he invited all these European dignitaries to Addis Ababa, the first time that most of these people touching in Africa, one of the first things he did was have them come to the inauguration of a statue of Emperor Menelik to commemorate the Battle of Adwa. So you know, make them know, say we
don't forget.
Don't forget. So
don't forget.
You try conquer we and we conquer you. You know, and we honor our heroes. I love the way his brain works. You know what I mean?
His Majesty.
You know what I mean? It really is it really is a fullness, you know. And the other part that I love about His Majesty, because remember the coronation is the first paved road in Addis Ababa comes during the coronation from the cathedral.
1930. They prepared for this, you know.
Yes, so this was a lot of preparation. Remember, April 2nd is the Ascension Day. April 2nd.
That is actually when His Majesty became the Emperor.
Yes.
April 2nd, 1930.
Yes.
But the actual ceremony was delayed. His Majesty became Emperor the minute Empress Saudi to transition, which was April 1st.
Yes.
So he became Emperor immediately. Because just like the prophecy say, Ethiopia shall not want a man to sit on the throne. Whenever a king is crowned, the successor is also crowned.
Yes.
So if something happened to the king, immediately you have the successor and you don't have to go through any ceremony. So this is a massive break in tradition, and it shows how strong his position was in the country by 1930, because he had done all this administration, tying together all of these parts of the nation, the Tafari Haile School for boys, the Empress Menen School for girls. Whoa. You know, the foundations of a lot of the military college, the imperial bodyguard being trained by the Belgium, and he chose smaller nations because he also know that the great powers were trying to put their claws into Ethiopia. Yes.
So he would go to Belgium, India, some of these smaller countries to train, because when they train your army, a lot of time the people get loyal to these powers. So it was a kind of balancing act how he was bringing in different nations to do different things. And Ethiopia is the only nation where every nation had a role in building Zion. The whole earth,
every nation,
artisans and craftspeople from every nationality, the Chinese,
they felt like they owe His Majesty. They felt like they owe him this.
Yes.
So they was just coming trying to be on his good side.
Yes,
and Ethiopia prospered. That period was a golden age for Ethiopia.
Yes.
That was a golden age.
From a feudal society to a modern nation state in a generation.
It's in the blink of an eye.
It's unprecedented in human history.
The
rate of development and the rapid.
No one has ever done anything like that.
Because we had mass illiteracy in 1930. Most of the Ethiopian people were illiterate till. We see in the 1970s.
Doctors,
engineers.
Only other man ever do something close to that. And he's a distant second. He's a brother from China named Mao Zedong.
Yes, Mao Zedong, yes.
He is responsible for what China is today.
Yes.
And all because he was studying in New York during the 1920s when Marcus Garvey was giving his speeches, and he heard Marcus Garvey and went back to his country and implemented some of what Marcus Garvey ideas were at the time.
And he was a big fan of His Majesty too. He loved His Majesty Mao Zedong. We know the flag people, a lot of people dead. We know the part there, but he has a man with a vision. You
Rastaman.
cannot deny what him do.
Rastaman, hear
Yes.
me ask you. Tell me one leader that hated His Majesty. You can't find none. You cannot find none. You know who hated His Majesty?
I would have to say Victor Emmanuel, Pope Pius the 11th. You know, and
No,
them,
they never hate him. They never hate him, you know. They never hate him, you know. In actuality,
yeah.
they showed love. They loved him. Even this guy from England. What them call the brother? They from England.
Churchill.
Churchill and all them boy and the one where Westminster Abbey.
Mm-hmm.
The one that they all love this Majesty and showed him high respect, you know. But still, I saw it though, you know. You see when you're Satan, you see when Satan have to do teamwork, you know.
Yes, I.
Even Judas did sorry about what I'm doing, you know. I'm sorry, but he did have to do what I'm doing, you know. That kiss they did have to go on, you know. And the collecting of that money, and even the money not serve him no purpose. But he did have to do what him do. Well, I see him, so them guys, them love them. They showed big respect for His Majesty, all of them, even Mussolini. But they still had to do what they were commissioned to do as the devil.
Yes,
they still had to do it.
So in terms of impact now, talk about the global impact. We're over 2 hours, family. We're doing a little brata tonight. Tell us about the impact. All
right. You have to look for the impact now. We have to look at it in retrospect. For me and you to be on this platform, this moment, doing this cannot be attributed to nothing else but to the coronation of Kadamawi Haile Selassie. If Haile Selassie never get crowned and free will that we could have do this, there's no way if the coronation never take place, you know, there's the jazz match. Africa gone, you know. And black people further below the feet of European. Africa totally conquered, and black people are either wiped out or subjected. The crowning is what changed everything. Like I said, it reinstated the African man and the African woman to their proper place in history. Not only did it reinstate them, but I said the throne was established for judgment. This throne is a throne of judgment. So it was His Majesty and the establishment of the United Nations, because just like you said on the secret meeting on the ship with the USSR and the United States, that was when the idea first came about, and then it further gelled, because they couldn't do it without His Majesty, because he was the victim of the
they
world.
Had lost credibility. They had lost credibility.
Everything, total loss. So when His Majesty called them now, His Majesty realized that, well, His Majesty knew that they had to comply. So those 30, what we came to know as the human the Declaration of Human Rights.
Yes.
His Majesty was instrumental in drafting those rights. That is the biggest impact. And like you said, the United Nations might not be working as it should be, but it is the last bastion of hope for peace in the world today. Even though they violate the United Nations many times, all the time, especially the bigger countries.
Yes.
It is still, they just had this, their almost 80 years anniversary, and it was well attended. So even though they're not doing what they're supposed to do, it is still the bastion of hope. It's still, we still have,
and they have swept His Majesty role under the rug. They don't talk about His Majesty, the only leader to address League of Nations and United Nations. You know what I mean? So the United Nations has been found wanting. But what I want to also take note is that the images that came out of the National Geographic magazine, you know, the Coronation, this was, and also remember that the Coronation was also shown in movie theaters, you know, the first footage.
For your viewers, it's June 30 edition, June 1936 edition of National Geographic magazine.
I have it here somewhere, but yeah, man, it's serious,
and it is very important. And the article is written by Addison E. Southard, Addison, Addison E. Southard, Southard. And there's also another article written by E. Robert Moore. 2 articles in National Geographic magazine that depicts the coronation in full pictures and in detail writings.
And this gave pride to black people around the world.
This is where our resurrection started. This is where we restart.
Redemption.
Hey, before there's no such thing. This is it. This is it. This is where it started. And we have continued to make, although the progress is gradual, but we have continued to progress and progress and progress up to this point. And that is where it started. That is what contributed to our progress. That is where it started. Because if that never take place, and if the war had been lost, we're done. So no, remember now, His Majesty also founded the OAU.
The highest of himself shall establish I and I.
Of African unity. And what this organization did, it was upon the founding of this organization that African countries start to get free from colonialism. It is the OAU that freed up many of the African countries that they could be free from colonialism, and also South Africa apartheid. His Majesty was the one who put a big hit on apartheid. Not only did he give Nelson Mandela them refuge, he also trained them and he equipped them to go back to South Africa and fight the apartheid.
Many African freedom fighters trained at the military academy in Harar. You know, and other locations, you know what I mean? The Mau Mau in Kenya were also supported and would take refuge in Ethiopia as well from time to time.
One of the big tasks of the OAU at its formative years was the war in Biafra.
Yes. Nigeria.
Yes, and there's a famous picture of His Majesty having those 2 leaders shaking hands with their hands in front of him, and you could see the joy His Majesty feel. Now, at that point, at that time in history, the naysayers and the critiques were saying there's no way the United Nations, not the United Nations, but the OAU, the Organization of African Unity, can progress. It's no way it can work, because all of these Africans, they speak different languages and they're always warring. So they looked at the impossibility of the OAU being a success. But this was the first test. Nigeria and Biafra. And His Majesty bring them together. Now these 2 leaders had sworn, anywhere we see him, I kill him. They swore they were arch enemies. And His Majesty just get them together. And the 2 of them shake and like Bob Marley gets.
Yeah, the Biafran leader said the only person he would talk to is His Majesty, you know. Of Biafra. Him said the only person on the planet him I got talk to is His Majesty. So His Majesty had to come. And it wasn't just Biafra, because you had Algeria, Morocco.
War. Yes, there were many more.
South
There
Sudan.
were many
You
more.
had the
But
intervention in the Congo. You know what I mean?
they show you the kind of diplomacy His Majesty have. And by this time, he was well skilled. Remember, this man was ruling over people, presiding over courts from the age of 13 years old.
Yes, I.
So he was, by the time he got to World War II, he was a seasoned politician. We
Statesman.
cannot forget
like
also
that. Yes.
the impact that His Majesty had on the church and on the faith of Christianity in general. But
He
in
managed to
particular,
separate it from the Sea of Saint Mark in Alexandria.
whoa!
was
And give Ethiopia what is known as autocephaly.
Yes.
Autocephaly, autocephaly, which is the prerogative, the right to elect your own high priest.
Yes.
Ethiopia used to have to wait on Egypt to send priests. This is one of the things that the crowning of Kadamawi Haile Selassie took care of. Now Ethiopia could elect their own priest and head of churches. So Ethiopia became its own. Also, after the Council of Chalcedon in 449 AD, 449 AD, the Council of Chalcedon, the delegates of Ethiopia, of course, from the Sea of Saint Mark, they decide they will never attend another council.
Yes.
Another world council. Why? Because when the Council of Chalcedon was concluded, usually when a council is concluded, they write what the results are in small, short sentences known as canons.
Yes.
So it make you know the decision that they come to and what to expect and the resolve, right? These are canons. So they're like laws.
Yes.
So out of the meeting, we determine that this is no law for the church. Okay. So out of that meeting, the Council of Chalcedon, and I want your viewers to check on that.
Yes.
One of the canon, and it was down at the bottom. So if it was 30 canons that they wrote at that council, it was about canon 30. It was about canon 29 or 28. One of the bottom ones, and this was to recognize Rome as the third holiest city. Third. So the first was already Jerusalem, and the second was Constantinople, and they didn't consider Egypt, who was the first metropolis, the first Christian metropolis in the world.
Alexandria.
The Sea of Saint Mark.
Yes, Sea of Saint Mark.
Egypt was the first to be the custodian of Christianity. Egypt was the first custodian of Christianity for over 300 years. Not until the 5th century, with 449 AD, when Rome now show up on the scene and say, okay, we're Christian like you, and we want to be a part of the World Council of Churches. But at that time, it wasn't the World Council of Churches, but it was a world body.
Yes. And
that was when Ethiopia said, oh, these teachings that you're coming with, we don't condone it. First, to see you as a holy, the third holiest place in Christianity, we don't condone. And this new thing where you come in with both, oh, you see Christ, we don't, because what the Pope had said, we see Christ the same way you see him. However, he died. No, I represent him. I'm his vicar. I'm his vice. That was the claim of the Pope. Ethiopia said, and so we know not with that, and they left, and they never came back to any more council after 449 AD. So Ethiopia just grew on its owning his own brand of Christianity. Tawahido it's called.
Yes.
Until again, 1965, when His Majesty brought the entire World Council of Churches together again. They were at that time at the Council of Nicaea, there were only 5 churches. When Rome joined in 449, it became 6. Ethiopia was under the See of Alexander, which is Egypt. Ethiopia fall under that authority. So when Ethiopia decided, okay, we don't want to have nothing else to do, they were still under the See of St. Mark, but they weren't going public anymore or worldwide anymore. So they had a chance now to grow by themselves. In 1965, they decided that Oral Roberts, that's his name. What's the other famous one name?
You're talking about or the brethren name. I have his biography here. 1 second here. Billy Graham.
Two famous Christian one.
Billy Graham, man. Billy Graham. Reading Ras. We don't play with it, you know.
Billy Graham, man. That's him, man. So they were gonna host the World Council of Churches, and they're looking for someone to be the main speaker, and they can't find nobody. And Billy, remember, there's the most important person, the most qualified person is Tafari Haile Selassie. So that's how they draw for him. At the conclusion, they conferred upon His Majesty the title Defender of the Christian Faith. Understand that?
Yeah, no, I want to make a slight historical correction, because that title was bestowed by the Conference of the Orthodox Churches. There are 2 different meetings. There's a Council of the World Churches meeting, and then there was the Conference of the Orthodox Churches, which His Majesty convened in Addis Ababa. When they met, it was the first time in 1500 years that they had come together since the Council of Chalcedon, as the I say. But there was because that was when the schism of the Orthodox.
Yes.
You had the Greek Orthodox, the Russian Orthodox, and then recently we see Russia came out with the Black Christ images and these things. So the Orthodox were the ones that were keeping the original, some of the original. And didn't accept the Pope as the vicar. And they rejected the throne of Peter, because the Vatican sits on the throne of Peter. Who they say was supposed to be a placeholder until the return of Christ, but that's why the Catholics don't talk nothing about David's throne, and in fact they invaded to conquer the throne of David multiple times. This is what they're fascinating with Egypt.
So this is more.
With Ethiopia. Sorry,
that seat is more the seat of Satan than anything else.
Who did Yeshua say? Who did Yeshua say, "Get thee hence, Satan"? To which was the one person in the Bible? Okay.
Peter.
Him did know prophecy.
Yes.
You see me say?
And there's a part in the Bible that say, "I know thy works, and where thou dwellest, at the seat of Satan, where Antipas died." That is from the scripture.
Yes, sir.
And then when you check out who Antipas was one of them in Christ's time, an apostle of Christ's time. Wasn't a disciple because he came after. But they killed him in present day Switzerland.
Okay.
And you know what is in Switzerland? CERN. I know you have to know what CERN is.
Is that the collider?
You say no more. So who don't know what it is? Go do your research.
Yes.
CERN, CERN.
This is high level reasoning, family. We're gone up there. Pot of bubble sip. We are serve it now. We are serve sip round the 4 corners of creation, family. This is high level Rastafari. This is when I came in the faith and I reasoned with the elders and the ancients. These were the reasons that we had that you don't
Food.
find these so much again. And that is one of the great things about the Lion Voice Network is that we can have these reasonings with a global audience. If you're watching live, big up yourself. We're gone 2 hours and a half and we don't even scratch the surface.
You can't.
No,
You
no,
cannot.
no. I going to have to become my producer as my wife. I can't keep her up too late. I going to have to seal up. This is part 1. But if you love Ras Abuna, drop a comment, drop an emoji, drop something in the comments, make the brethren know. Say, we love this reasoning. This is what the Lion Pride, this is what we love. Drop some love in the comments. If there's any questions, and I'm going to ask the brethren to say his final sounds. But if you're watching live, drop something in the comments, make the brethren feel the love and the joyfulness. So while we wait for the comments to come in, any final questions, anything, the item can drop it there. Give us final sounds on the coronation. Why everybody should have known. You know what I mean? We say everyone should have known. We chant this, who Rastafari is. Just seal us up with overall. Why is it important to us today? Because the story is still unfolding. You know what
Yes.
I mean? The throne has now, entered the hearts of mankind. Rastafari govern the hearts. He live in the hearts of mankind right now. And it's spread around the 4 corners. There's no continent where the Lion of Judah flag doesn't fly. You know what I mean? That flag there behind you become a spiritual flag that transcends borders and boundaries.
True, man.
You know what I mean? So the victory, has been won. The Lion of Judah has prevailed. You know what I mean? But give us the eye sound in terms of why is the coronation important?
Psalm 60 said, I have given thee a banner that thou may display it because of truth. So there's a banner where God give. That is, when it signifies truth. Now remember what he said about the truth, The truth set you free. So it's only one freedom banner I know in Rasta, and it's this one. This is the banner of freedom, of truth and freedom. This is the one. There's none other. None other. None. No, it's important that I know Tafari Haile Selassie, especially when people talk about the Bible. Because I realize that the Bible is not so much a everybody book. There's a part in the Bible that is very significant and only to a few people. And that is found in Genesis 15, Genesis chapter 15, when God is talking to Abraham. God said to Abraham, know for a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and they shall serve them 430 years. After that, I will judge that nation that they have served, and my people shall come out with great substance. The idea of a judgment, that is where it came from. Now, we spoke about Tafari Haile Selassie ending slavery. We spoke about him being there for delivering justice for the downtrodden. So now we're talking about this judgment, because that is what this throne is supposed to be. And that is what a lot of people is waiting on, this judgment. We hear about the last days and the judgment day, end of time. Well, this end of time, it signifies a change. And like I said, African people has been gradually on a rise. And this is the time where that rise will be accelerated. And you have to know the agenda that you can be in compliance with the right time. You have to be on God's time. You have to be on the Father's time. You have to be on the Creator's time. You have to be on the creator's agenda. And when I say time, we know of the cycles that make day and night. According to what science tells us, when the earth make one full rotation, that constitutes day and night, a 24-hour period, day and night. And then when the earth goes around the sun, that constitutes a 365-day period, which is a year. There is another movement that the earth also make. The earth kind of wobble. It doesn't spin. It wobble like a gig. When a gig is a top. If those who play with tops, and when the top is about to end its run or end its spinning, it starts to wobble. Yes. Well, that wobble, when it moves from side to side, now remember the earth. So use your body as an example. So one rotation, full rotation, that's 24 hours, and then it is rotating, plus it is spinning on its axis, plus it is going around the sun, that is two movements, plus it is wobbling, that is a third. With this wobble now, the head is making an imaginary circle. An imaginary circle that takes approximately 2,400 years, give and take. You will see some people say it's 2,100, 2,200, whatever. It's also a cycle. That wobble takes approximately 2,000 years, 2,000 and more years to make a full cycle. And that is called the Great Year. The Great Year. That measures ages. We're about to move in a different age now. We're about to move in an age that's called the age of Aquarius.
Okay. Dr. Knife always talk about the age of Aquarius. Big up Dr. Knife.
The age of information. Christ
knowledge increase.
Christ alluded to that, changing of the priest, changing of the order. So Christianity is gonna kind of go in the shadows now, and there is something gonna replace it. I don't have to ask. I am telling you that is Ras Tafari and Haile Selassie. So when you see these uprising, or these not uprising as in a war, when you see the rejuvenation taking place amongst African people, look at what is going on in Burkina Faso, Mali, in Niger, in East Africa, Tanzania. There's a woman president in Tanzania now. The GERD in Ethiopia, South Africa. And then even here in the United States, a woman running for president, and the excitement in African people. It is a reflection of the age, a changing of the age, becoming just like how you have when a new day is dawning, you hear the birds chirping and it sounds new. Just like when you have a new year and you have the celebration, it feels like a new year. Well, that is the kind of feeling, that is the fervor now in the atmosphere, the new age. And we're at the beginning of it. We are at the starting of it. We are at the and it like I said, it takes up 2,000 years.
And there are birth times.
Can you imagine the next 100 years, the next 200 years in this age? Can you imagine what 300 more years in this age is going to be? We have no clue what it's going to be like. But I can guarantee you it's going to be all positive. So it is incumbent upon us. It is our duty to do what we can to facilitate that future, to make sure that what we are doing is positive enough to usher in that time. Make sure that what we are doing now will contribute to ushering in that time. And our works, our history will be recorded, because we're on Facebook every day. We're on social media every day. Our phone calls are being taped. So we are recorded every day. Our histories are being written. So in your capacity, whatever you do, make sure you're doing something to make that transition. So be positive. Long live Haile Selassie forever. The knowledge of Haile Selassie will never disappear from us. It can only be more and more, because as the time go by, we are getting more and more information about His Majesty. More and more information are starting to surface. More and more and more every year. And we hear people in Ethiopia every year talking about sighting. They're seeing His Majesty. They see him in this area. They see him in that area. I and I as Rasta know that Kadamawi Haile Selassie still live in the flesh. Some Rasta, some people who call themselves Rasta might have ideas of a different entity, but that is only ideas. I and I know the one and true and living Kadamawi Haile Selassie, who is still with us. When Christ rose, His disciples were in doubt. They had to see Him. One disciple, Thomas, had to touch Him to verify that this is actually Christ, and He is actually physical. So Christ rose in the physical. Christ rose in the physical. He was a physical man when He rose. So
this is part of our inheritance, because we are the manifestation of the divine, of the Einberg.
So with the rising of Christ, you must expect a sequel. We are the sequel.
We are the sequel. His Majesty said the time has come where the emperor would rule alone. These times are over. The time has come where the people must share responsibility, collective security, for surety. So family, you heard it here. Ras Abuna, this was one of the ones, and I want to officially announce this is our highest viewed live that we've had. We had 46 people at the maximum. Our previous record was 43 people live. We're little but with Talawa, and I just want to say give thanks for everyone who watched this live. Hundreds more will watch this on the replay, because most people watch it on the replay. But I give thanks that we beat our record tonight, 46 ones all over creation to the coronation. We are growing, and we're not going anywhere. If you love this content, become part of the Lion Pride on Patreon. We need the financial support so we can continue with the work and we can scale the work, because we want to do documentaries, blockbuster film, animated cartoon, all these things about the same stories and liberty that we're talking about.
We have to write our history.
Yeah, man, we have to tell our own story. So if you love what you see, join the Patreon, become active, and don't just be a passive observer of what's happening. Big up my Lion Pride on Patreon. Big up everyone who has been supporting this uprising. We are over 11,000 strong. And we are not going anywhere, family. We're going to keep on grinding until we are millions. You know what I mean? Because Ras Tafari, the power has never been fully realized by I and I. And we are the generation of them that seek Him, that seek His face. When I was born in 1977, His Majesty don't disappear already. We had to seek Him, you know what I mean, for even see Him face and to hear the word sound. So we are that generation, and we are now coming to ensure.
Rasta, you play your thing, so you're elder.
He's a 77. He's a 77 model. You know what I mean? As my elder Osiris would say.
Yeah, the great man. Yeah, the great Rasta, yo. Give thanks.
Yeah,
give thanks.
Give thanks.
Just keep going, and they are one of the soldiers them out there where I do the works, Rasta. Just keep going there, you know, my prayers, and anytime you call I man, you know, Simon, they up on the battlefield, so if not come anyway, come bust shot.
Yeah, man. We don't do one. The Lion Pride know that we don't do one reason in here. This is an ecosystem. So anyone you see on the Lion Pride, you know they must return. I see Army Gideon already request the part 2. Big up the Chaz Match Kwasi and Ras Abuna. Looking forward to part 2.
Yes, my brother.
Part 2 needed, Ras Abuna. So this is gonna be one of our highest viewed. You know what I mean? The best content yet.
All the best to you and your family.
Yeah, man.
Yes, the Jazz Match Kwasi. Give thanks, you know, it was such a pleasure. And I don't know of anything that I could be doing that would be more beneficial. It was such a great pleasure, and I give thanks, my brother. And anytime, just say the word.
Yeah, man, we're gonna draft there as part of the family.
And there's so much more that we did
So
not
much
cover,
more we
because
don't.
you cannot cover the greatness of Kadamawi Haile Selassie in 2 hours or 3 hours.
Now people
that take a lifetime.
Yeah, now people can understand why Ras stay up all night at Bun Chalice and a reason. Once this thing starts, it gets sticky when we start going out of history. You know what I mean? Art of love, up for reason. Big up yourself, DJ Ras Iman, Atlanta family. Lion Pride, we feel the love. We are here.
Thanks, family. Give thanks.
We're 45 minutes over time, so we have to go seal up, but we give thanks for everyone coming out again. Join the Patreon. Let us build. Let us watch the Muta Baruka interview. We have more content dropping. We have some big interview. We have Mama Ascali. We have so many ones for share with the family. I can't wait to share some of the reasons that we have already recorded. So log on, stay tuned. Why? Because the time has come for the lions to tell our own story.
When the lion roars, jungle trembles. I know.
And Ras Abuna, big artist too, you know. We don't touch the artist part. Next time when he come back, we are going to go into the artist part. Why? Because the time has come for the lion to tell our own story. And this is the lion voice.
Bless up yourself, the Jasmine Squad, and we reason soon.
Yes, sir.
And all the viewers, enough love. Go in peace to love and serve Kadamawi Haile Selassie. Blessings to you and your family until such Iowa. Sila.
People, this is Michael Shemaya representing. I will say, hear the lion voice, saying it is time for the lions and the lionesses to tell their own story. King David killed Goliath with a stone, we original dread.
The fittest of the fittest shall survive. But people, open your eyes. Wake up. Blessed love, this is Queen Omega representing for all lions and lionesses. With the lion's voice, we come to tell our story. Ras Tafari live it. Hey, the lion's voice, Ras Tafari.
The time has come for lions to tell our own story. Yes, you're listening to Lion's Voice. I is Ras Abuna hailing from the island of St. Croix. Yeah, I'm bringing to you Rastafari vibes. Can you feel it? Rastafari. Babylon born when Rasta come together. Can you feel it? Rastafari. Because Babylon done when I and I come together. Look how we live together, look how we work together, Whoa, Babylon done when Rasta come together. Hail I, Rastafari, His Majesty and Empress men and blessed. Yeah man, hailing from St. Croix, Rastafari hail you.
Aye.
Greetings, I'm Sister Aisha Diana Conwood, currently the Assistant Commissioner of Agriculture for the U.S. Virgin Islands. Time for the lioness to roar. You know, this is the lion's voice. Lioness, let's roar, lion pour. Ah!
Well, lion voice, tell them that's the people first choice. Lion voice, make the lioness them feel nice. Lion voice, with the lion cubs we sacrifice. Lion voice, got to show the people them the light. Lion voice.